Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over my updated deck list for my commander decks. I have a series of 5 decks I'm going to go over in these next 5 videos. It's going to be coming out pretty soon. And today we're going to start with Shanna, Sisay's Legacy. So y'all have seen her before on the channel, and I've added some new cards in there. I've updated the deck a good amount. I've kind of shifted the deck from token creation to still having that token creation, but also including a lot of enchantments in there for the new set, Neon Dynasty, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So without further ado, let's go over the commander one more time before we head into the video. And I give you all my new top 10 cards, plus some cards I've added into the deck since I've last posted about this commander. So Shanna, Sisay's Legacy, green and white, legendary creature, human warrior. Shanna, Sisay's Legacy can be the target of abilities your opponent control. Shanna gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. She's a 0/0. She comes in as a 1/1 essentially because she sees herself. So the thing that we want to focus on with her is making tokens and getting a lot of creatures out. So without further ado, here are my new top 10 cards in the deck. There might be some overlap. I haven't gone back and relooked at the video in a while, but I do know that my opinions of the deck have changed, and I've updated the card list a pretty good amount as well. So at number 10 is Keeper of the Accord. This is something I think should be in a lot of white decks, regardless of what you're playing, just because this creature, human soldier, can ramp you and can create token fodder for you. So in this deck, I want a lot of tokens. I also want to be able to ramp and play a lot of high cost stuff that you're going to see later on in this video. So this creature by himself does both those things. He's a 3/4, he's a 4-drop. I think he should be in every white deck. I think he's a staple. He's one of my favorite cards. He creates tokens. He gets you planes. This is literally the thing that I want out for me. So this is number 10. He's a really good card, but I think there's other cards that fit the mold of this deck a little bit better, and newer cards that I like that I want to implement I haven't seen yet. So that's why this is only at number 10, but it's still a very, very good card. So at number 9 is Owl, the Dawn Sky. So 3 and 2 white, a legendary creature spirit. This is from the new set, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Flying Vigilance. When Owl the Dawn Sky dies, choose one of the top cards in your library. Any number of non-permanent cards, total land by 4 less than 1 of the battlefield. Rest of my library in random order. Or you put 2+1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or vehicle. So if we have a swarm of vehicles out, a swarm of creatures out, we just pump them all up, +2/+2. And we have a bunch of tokens out, this just makes it that much better. Or if we're looking for something, we have a lot of low cost stuff in this deck as well that we can bring out. That's 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana. He does both those things. And he's a flyer, he has vigilance. We need more flyers in the deck. I thought this is the perfect card to add in. And I mean, this newest set has been such a fun set. I've enjoyed it a lot. I've added a ton of cards from the new set into all of my decks, except for one, being my Edgar Markov deck, because there wasn't really vampires in this set. But yeah, Owl the Dawn Sky, just a great creature. I really enjoy having him in this deck now. And he gives me some flying. That was the one thing that I kind of like in this deck, was flying and reach, and he does help with that. So he's at number 9. At number 8, if you play standard on arenas, you know Kami of Transience is one of those staples right now. 1 green for a 2/2 creature spirit. It's trample. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kami of Transience at the beginning of each end step. If an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return Kami of Transience from your graveyard to your hand. So if enchantments are hit in the grave, you can bring them back to your hand. When you cast enchantments, you get the +1/+1 counter. This doubles with the 1-drop. It's a Swirl Spirit. It also gives +1/+1 counter which you assign them. So I've added a lot of enchantments. You're going to see one right now. Actually, you're going to see a couple of this ones. So Kami of Transience is just one of those things that fits the deck perfectly. I've added a lot of enchantments. I want to get a lot of enchantments, a lot of sagas going in this deck. So this fits perfectly. It's a 2/2 with trample. He gets buffed by the things that I want to play. Plus, I have a lot of auras that I play in this deck to pump up Shanna, that I can now also pump up with Kami. So he, to me, was an auto include in this deck. So Kami with Transients at number 8. At number 7 right now is actually an Enchantment Saga. So Michiko's Reign of Truth. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact or enchantment you control. That's the first 2 steps. And then at step 3, it exiles, flips around, transforms. Let's just show this flip form real quick. Portrait of Michiko gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. So even after those first 2 turns, you still get the opportunity to use the creature. This is really good because, as I said, I run a lot of enchantments now, enchantment creatures. So this pumps them up. You will see this card again in another one of my deck videos, I believe. It should be in my Voltron deck. So this card's really good. I really like it. Another standard staple right now. I enjoy playing with enchantments and with auras and equipment and all those kinds of different things. Things that stand out that most people don't normally play with. So this is a really fun card. I really enjoy using it. That's at number 7. At number 6 and at number 5, you're going to see these guys back to back. So there's the green one, the legendary creature spirit, Meojian of Towering Might. 5 and 3 green, which normally I would not include an 8-drop in any of my decks, especially when it has 3 pips of green. But in a deck like this, where it's 2 colors and I can ramp pretty quickly, I have like Llanowar Elves in here, I have Llanowar Tribe in here, I have a couple of Mana Dorks in here. I think for the most part, I can get this off fairly easily. So there's an 8/8 drop. Meojian of Towering Might enters the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. You cast it from your hand. Remove the counter from Meojian of Towering Might. Distribute 8 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. They gain trample until the turn. This, I think, is a great endgame card that is kind of like, you can compare this almost to like Crater Hoof. Like it's not as great as Crater Hoof because Crater Hoof can take advantage of a ton of tokens being out or a ton of creatures being out. But this, with the +1/+1 counters and 8 of them, plus they gain trample, this is a card that can really just end the game if you get it out. And the fact that you can do it at any time, like take away that counter, is just like amazing. The versatility of these cards, of these spirits that are in each of the colors, I think is really underrated because of the high mana cost. But I feel that this is a card that can literally win you a game if they don't block you right, if they don't set up their blocks right, if they forget that you have this on the field. So yeah, this card and this kind of sect of spirits, of these 8 drops that are in each color, I think are vastly underrated, and they should be used in a lot of commander decks. So this is at number 6 for me, which means at number 5 we get the other one, the white one, Meojian of Blooming Dawn. 5 and 3 white, so 3 white pips. A little bit harder in this deck, but with green and ramping, and auras that can give me extra mana, give me different sources of mana, let me change the mana that I produce. I don't really see myself struggling with this card in my deck. So, Legendary Creature Spirit, this is a 4/6, not the 8/8 that Towering Might is, but a 4/6. Meojian of Blooming Dawn enters the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it if you cast it from your hand. And then you can remove the indestructible counter from Meojian of Blooming Dawn, creating 1/1 color spirit creature token for each permanent you control. So this is a great thing to get out. Say you just only have lands out, you only have 8 lands out, you have your commander out, and you play this. You can take off that counter, and suddenly, with Shanna, you take off this counter because, I mean, it's permanent. It's not non-land permanent. So if you just have 8 lands out, you get 8 plus Meojian plus Shanna. So you're looking at minimum 8, 9, 10, and then you might have Mana Rocks out. This is a great token creator. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. I think it's so slept on. I think it pairs perfectly with Shanna. You can do it at any time. Like, you can activate this at instant speed. If they don't block this, you take off the counter from here, and suddenly you're just like swarming the board with spirit creature tokens. And Shanna gets an instant buff. Like, this should be a staple in decks. Like this can win games. This can easily win games. If Shanna has trample, so that's why these pair together so well. You take off both these counters. You give Shanna trample. You create a bunch of tokens. You give things +1/+1 if they're unblocked. This is just such a crazy combo, I feel like, in this deck in particular. So one of my favorite cards, one of my favorite creatures in the deck. I mean, this is something that can win a game. I mean, like, look at that. Create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token for each permanent you control. That's insane. If it was non-land permanent, wouldn't be as great, but each permanent, this thing, I'm telling you, will win games for people. It is insane. That's why it's at number 5 for me. At number 4, y'all might have seen this card before, but bring it back anyways. Auric Champion, protection from black and from red. It's 2 whites, a human cleric, 1/1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may gain 1 life. So, and it is signed. I bought it from a card shop signed already, so it doesn't really bother me. I'm pretty sure it was signed by the artist as well, Eric Deschamps. But yeah, this card really good. First, the protection from black and red. 2 pretty popular colors. 2 colors you see a lot in Commander. So I'm glad that we get protection from it. And then whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may gain 1 life. And that's any creature. That's not just your creatures. So say we hit with this and we bring out 10 creatures. I mean, we're gaining 10 life. If someone does the same thing, if someone has a bunch of tokens out and they're creating tokens constantly, we're gaining life. Just such a great card. I love this card. It's amazing. It fits this deck so perfectly with the token creation. And it's one of those that's going to be a staple in my deck for a long time coming. I don't ever see this card coming out of this deck. At number 3 is Beastmaster Ascension. It's 2 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on Beastmaster Ascension. As long as Beastmaster Ascension has 7 or more quest counters on it, creatures you control get +5/+5. I feel like this only works in this deck because I make so many tokens that I can just swing out with. So going back to it, if I bring this out, and this is already out, 1, this sees this, this also sees this also sees itself. So just in that's 3, not to mention your lands. And if you're gonna attack, I mean, they don't have haste, but if you have a haste enabler, or you do that on the turn before, and you decide, okay, I want to just go full on attack in on this guy. So at his end step, you take off the counter from Blooming Dawn. You create a bunch of spirit tokens. You attack with 7 of them. They instantly all get +5/+5 once this hits. Like, it's just such a crazy combo that I feel like you can pull off and have really, really good success with. That's why it's at number 3. That's why it's gonna be a staple in my deck. That's why I enjoyed a lot. At number 2, Nylea Keeneyed. It's 3 and a green, or legendary enchantment creature, a god. This is from the Theros Beyond Death set, I believe. Indestructible as long as your devotion to green is less than 5. Nylea isn't a creature. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Now this helps a lot in this deck when you have a lot of high cost stuff like Owl of Dawn Sky, Keeper of the Accord, Meogean of Towering Might, Meogean of Blooming Dawn, Cultivated Colossus. Pretty soon there should be a Crater Hoof in this deck as well. There's a good number of things in this deck that are pretty high cost, so getting that 1 less is really good. And then 2 and a green, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it into your graveyard. So essentially, you pay 3 for a scry. If it's creature, you put in your hand. If it's not, you can put it back or put it in the grave. So if you're looking for answers, this is a good card to have out. It's a 5 and it's a 5/6 4-drop. Granted, it's a god. This is just me ranting about card design. It's a god. It has a bow and arrow in the picture. It's huge. It's towering over the sky. Why doesn't it have reach? Why doesn't Nylea have reach? Somebody please tell me that. Anyways, besides that, it's a great card. It fits well with the deck. We get a lot of green pips in this deck. Creatures cost 1 less to cast, which is really, really helpful. And when y'all see this number 1 card, y'all are gonna, I think, understand why we run so many great creatures in this deck. So this number 2 helps cast our creatures for cheaper. Helps us scry. It's indestructible. It's a 4-drop 5/6. Really good card, and it also goes with the enchantments in our deck. So we really like that. And at number 1, this card I pulled in a set booster pack of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. It was my list slot. I'm gonna drop it in right here. Dragon Lord Dromoka. It's 4 green and white. Legendary creature, Elder Dragon. Dragon Lord Dromoka can't be countered. Flying, lifelink. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. And the flavor text: Dromoka's followers forsake blood ties so that they may join a greater family. It's a 5/7 that can't be countered. It's a flying dragon with lifelink. And your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. This is what you want. This is a game ender. I love this card so much. This protects you. It gives you board right protection on your turn. It can't be countered, which is such a big deal. I feel like when you're playing against a lot of blue players, which most groups and pods, you probably have at least a few blue players. So Dragon Lord Dromoka, one of my new favorite cards. I like this card. I've been seeing it at my local card shop for a long time now, and I finally got one. But luckily, I pulled it in a pack. Didn't have to buy it. So yeah, it's at number 1. I love this card. I've been wanting it for a good while now, and I'm glad I have it in my deck now. So just going back over it really quickly one more time. At number 10, we have Keeper of the Accord. Number 9, Owl the Dawn Sky. 8, Kamio Transience. 7, Michiko's Reign of Truth. 6, Myojin of Tyrant Might. 5, Myojin of Blooming Dawn. 4, Auriok Champion. 3, Beastmaster Ascension. 2, Nivea Keen-Eyed. And 1, Dragon Lord Dromoka. And this is all for my Shanna Sisay's Legacies deck. So, if you have any recommendations, you have any thoughts, or different things I can add in this deck potentially, let me know down in the comments. This is one of my decks that I threw together myself. It was self-built. It was a lot of stuff that was just in my collection, and I've slowly started to add stuff in. I really do enjoy playing this deck. I enjoy playing like big creatures, and y'all see when y'all see my Giants deck profile again that I really do enjoy playing big creatures that cost a lot of mana. So the big thing with it though is that things get countered, so this really helps with people not being able to interact on your turn. So that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you know any Magic fans. If you're interested in playing Magic, drop a comment down below. We can always talk about Magic, playing Magic potentially. So yeah, these are my top 10 new cards in my Shanna Sisay's Legacies deck. And I hope you'll have a good day. We'll catch you on the next one. See you.